Release and let go. Let go of the thoughts, words, and actions which block us from our highest and best. I shared my affirmation, my go-to affirmation. I release and let go. Let me back up. You know what I do? I always started out with this. I am that I am. I release and let go of all that which does not belong to me and loose myself to my own good. Only the highest and best is manifest in my life. We talked about being ready. Like, no kidding, being ready, prepared to receive. So that when we let go of something, we don't get something in its same shape, feel, and so on like that. We don't want something just like it to take the place of something we just let go of, right? And we talked about the spiral path, the spiritual spiral path, and how we keep seeing something. It may seem very similar, but we're seeing it from a new perspective with new understanding. How receptive are we? Have you ever asked yourself, how receptive am I? Am I open to receiving? Am I ready to allow? We all have blocks to receiving. All of us do. Most of them have to do with fear. If you've heard of Gerald Jampolsky, he's made a career of talking about love and how fear is basically the absence of love. Anything which is not like love. I like this Eleanor Roosevelt. You know, she was pretty cool. I would have loved to have known her personally. You gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look fear in the face. She seemed like the kind of lady who did that, just looked it right in the face. Maybe she said, boo. The future belongs to those, she said, who believe in the beauty of their dreams. And we say, not just in the future, but also now. The first of the blocks I'm going to talk about today is about being unworthy, undeserving, or aiming low. Those things will block our allowing, our receiving. Again, I'm going to say it again. Unworthy, feelings of feeling unworthy, undeserving, or aiming low, which you would do because you're not sure you deserve maybe a higher one. We want the highest and best. We're talking about the highest and best here, not just having the basics. You can be grateful, and we talked about how gratitude. I'll mention it again. Gratitude is a manifester, and that's true. But if you're not willing and open to receiving it, then you can be manifesting all day and still have your hand out, no thank you. So it's important that we identify and release the feelings of unworthy. So let me ask you some questions about this. Ready? Okay. Does everyone believe in God who's here today?
Yes.
Okay. All right, that's easy. God wants the best for us. Are we going to argue with that? No, we're probably not. I don't see anyone getting ready to fight on that. If God thinks we should have the best, and we believe in God, can we believe that we're worthy of the best that God wants for us? Now, I understand that this is intellectual statements, and that there can be other things going on inside of us, why we might feel unworthy. And as we talk more this morning, you're going to be I'm giving you ideas on how to look at those things and identify them and let them go. Replace them with only the highest and best. So we're children of God, and we are worthy. So go for it. Go for the highest and best. Again, more blocks here that disbelief. Remember our talk about being open versus closed, curious versus indifferent. So this is part of the disbelief. And also, it's unbalanced, entrenched skepticism. Remember we were talking about entrenched skepticism? If we go into the world with the attitude of disbelief, entrenched skepticism, then we're pushing that energy. That energy, that's what's going on. We're pushing that away. So we want to be allowing. This is what today's talk about. Talk is about allowing. And so disbelief is another block that if you were one to have that, and it's something that we all may have at any different time. We may not all just like live and breathe and shower in disbelief, but we might at some point go, oh, I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure. Healthy skepticism, healthy discernment, balanced discernment. Another thing, outside influences, our environment. We might hang out with a lot of naysayers and disbelievers of everything. I'm not talking about the conspiracies. I'm talking about just having that idea of the attitude. People, our family legacy. Now this is a big one. I'm not sure how old I was when I heard this concept, but I wish I'd heard it much younger. It was that we have, there's sometimes people have this belief that we are not to succeed beyond the place of our parents. So this is a legacy. So it's somehow we got the idea that it's not okay to make more money than our parents, to have a nicer home than our parents, that it's somehow not okay, for whatever reason. So this is a family legacy. Or I don't want to be more well off than my brother, my sister, whatever like this. And God says we're all worthy. So it just may be that they came with a thimble or a bucket, or instead of having that pipeline that Louise Hay talks about, to the abundance in the universe, God's love. Another block, believing that it's impossible. I'm not even going to try that because I know that's impossible. There's no way. I can't tell you when I started writing a book how many people come to me and said, this will never happen. First of all, nobody ever starts something like that and finishes it, even though there's a million books out there. Hey. I'm still working on it. I have finished my book and I'm still working on finding an agent, but I'm not believing the story. Oh, you'll never find an agent. This will never happen. There's a lot of possibility. And so what is that? What is that energy? It's the same, isn't it? We're pushing it back, that energy. Fear of success. Sometimes we get to the point where, oh, I can do this, I can do it, but I could never do that. Because that, and this is what I like to say about that. It could very well be that, for example, when I was writing computer security documents for the government, I didn't have the skills I needed completely to sit and write a novel. You might think that you would. I did. But I learned, I would like to say quickly, but quickly and slowly, that I needed more skills and I needed more abilities. So just because something looks impossible now, and that we are afraid of doing it because it'll never work, just means that we need the skills to do it. And there are lots of people out there who are willing to teach us those things. And there's the internet. So we can learn. We can learn. And so just because we don't have those capabilities today doesn't mean we won't. So that takes impossible and fear of success kind of out the, there we go, quick into the curve. All righty. Okay, we're going to, what's the other thing? We deny and ignore our intuition. Okay, I had a really strong urge to write this book. It was a book that I was really led to do. It was a spiritual thing for me. I was having, my dreams were being intruded upon. My intuition was telling me every move I made away from that, I could feel it in me. But I was denying it and ignoring it until I couldn't anymore. And so I say sometimes when that happens, some of us have heard of the concept of the spiritual 2x4. So my suggestion is always let go of denial and ignoring your intuition way before the 2x4 part. Believe, because sometimes some of us, not everybody, has a little thicker kind of situation and they need a little more of a wake-up call. And so we don't want to get to that point. We want to be aware of ourselves to the point where we're not in that imbalance. Now, speaking of imbalances, there's the giving and receiving imbalance. Have you ever tried to give a gift to someone and they wouldn't take it? What is that energy? That's the same energy. All these are the same energy. See the common thing there? So what we're going to do is we're going to say thank you. We're going to remember that stagnant creek I talked about? Dammed up, mud-filled, algae-ridden, backed up, versus the flow, going with the flow of the creek. Ah, happiness, energetic, clear water, babbling, happy sounds of the water. We're going with we're saying yes. Now we're going to stop. We're going to stop stopping the flow. In other words, going with this flow. And we're also going to move from any sort of contracted version of ourselves. Remember that contracted version versus expansive, contracted, expansive, yes.
Ooh, I don't believe you.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Or I'll look into it. Yeah, okay. So what I'm trying to also want to say here is that we're going to actively participate, and I want to say, okay, we're giving and we're receiving. So I'm not sure where to stand here. Right? I'm going to give and I'm going to receive. You see, it's like this. It's a flow. That's the flow. We don't want that stagnant. We don't want it algae-ridden. We want it to flow. We say yes. And the final block I'm going to identify as such is lack of focus. Afraid to name that tune. Being safely vague. If I don't actually say to myself, okay, this is what I want. This is what I want. For example, we want to keep the Unity Church going. We want to build it up. We want to have so much prosperity in our church here that a Unity minister will want to come, that a Unity minister will be here, that we can have all of the growings and the happenings and the classes and all kinds of stuff that you hear other Unity churches doing for us. So we're going to name specifically some of those things that we want. We're not going to be vague. We're not going to aim low. And we're going to focus on it. And that's what you might hear soon, I hope, at some of the board meetings that you attend. Now, I'd like to introduce some folks that I like. They really inspire me. I've mentioned Brendan Burchard. I tell you, if you haven't followed or heard Brendan Burchard and you're feeling a little slumpy, that's a new word, slumpy, and just listen to a short YouTube video by Brendan, and you will no longer, he just charges you up. In fact, he wrote a book called Charge, The Charged Life. And he's not afraid of using the word God. You know, he's not a religious kind of guy, but he talks right to you, you know. And one of the other fellows I like to hear talk is Bruce Lipton. He's a doctor, he's a biologist actually, and he focuses on the study of epigenetics, and he talks a lot about how, and we talked about that last week, about environment versus genetic and that sort of thing. This is what he says on the tail end of this business about having no focus and being safely vague. The subconscious mind is our habits, learned behaviors. The conscious mind is creative and connected to our personal identity and to spirit. So what I say is that the subconscious is the program. We don't let the program run our life. We code the program through our thoughts, words, and actions with our conscious mind. And this is, we're saying this is the same thing, but a different way. Actually, I should say Albert Einstein is saying the same thing a different way here. The intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. We've created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. So we're letting go of all that. We're not letting the program run us. All those blocks we talked about, we can go through the processes to let them go, so we're open and allowing our good. There's another fellow I would like to recommend. I mean, this guy, he just gets me. He wants you to say right where you need to be gotten. His name is Dr. Joe Dispenza. And he talks extensively about how, and really he talks about it very detailed perspective on letting the program run us through our emotions. So I know I should do this, but I can't. I'm too afraid, or whatever. We're letting the program run us. So I would recommend any of the books that he has written on that. If you want to get started, I like the one, because I like the title. It's called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. You gotta love that. All right, now we're going to talk about that thing we always talk about. I'm kidding, really, I am. Spiritual hygiene. Okay, we're going to talk about that. First, we're going to talk about routine hygiene. Using our thoughts, words, and actions, mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, and forgiveness. Dr. Dispenza said this: a memory without the emotional charge is called wisdom. Isn't that beautiful? We can remember something without being devastated by it. We can remember something without being crippled emotionally by it. We can forgive and we can release. We talked a little bit about that last week. I forgive you, and I ask that you forgive me. Now, these are things that you can do in prayer and meditation. Sometimes the person's gone or lives in another country or something, or it's just not a good space for you to be in. So you say these things to their higher selves in prayer and meditation. I came across a writing from Charles Fillmore, and it's called Prosper. Now, he has another book called, help me out, John, something about prosperity. Can't remember the whole title.
He's got like 3 different titles, and one of them actually is prosperity.
Yeah. Yes. Well, this one is Prosper. This one is more like a paper, but you can actually buy it on Amazon as a book. But this is what it says: what are the rules of the law? And by law, he's talking about the law of abundance, the law of allowing. First, God is good, and all His creations are good. When you get that firmly fixed in your mind, you are bound to demonstrate good, and nothing but good can come into your world. If you let in the thought that there is such a thing as evil, and that you are as liable to evil as to good, then you may have conditions that conform to your idea of evil. Well, do remember, evil and evil conditions are not recognized by the divine mind. If you have thought of evil as a reality, or have any power over you, change your thought at once and begin to build up good brain cells that never heard about anything but good. Isn't that awesome? Then he says, pray thus: I am a child of the absolute good. God is good and I am good. Everything that comes into my life is good, and I'm going to have only the good. Isn't that pretty? Establish this consciousness, and only the good will be attracted to you and your life, and your life will be a perpetual joy. I cannot tell you why this is true, but I know that it is, and that you can prove it for yourself to your satisfaction. And with this attitude, I say enter into prayer, affirmations, meditations, visualizations, and allow God. So let's continue on talking more about our spiritual hygiene. So we're talking a lot about the thoughts. Now we're going to talk about preparing the soil. We talked a little bit about that last week, but this is preparing the soil and preparing the hearth. First, we'll talk about preparing the soil. Now, we're going to plow the field. Depends on where you are in the process. You might need to plow the field. Get rid of last year's old gunky stuff and plow that field. Or you might be in a more refined state along the process where you need to weed your thought garden. I'm not sure at any point. These things happen throughout the year, normally speaking. When you're weeding the garden you're releasing and letting go. Now, when we're let go, we're being open and receptive, right? We've cleared, we've plowed, and we've weeded. So we're open and receptive, and there are no preconceptions because it's clear. All that stuff's gone. So we are the childlike mind that finds the kingdom. It's open and receptive, no preconceptions. Then what do? Our soil is ready, we plant the seeds. What are the seeds? Positive TWAs, thoughts, words, and actions. This is also from Prosper, Charles Fillmore. Plant in the home atmosphere the seed of richness and abundance. It will all come to you. Use the patience, the wisdom, and the close and constant attention that the farmer employs in planting and cultivating your crop will be sure. Now we're going to talk about the next step, fertilizing and nurturing. First of all, I'd like to say, when you plant your seeds, what do? Did you get in there and dig them up, see how they're doing? No, that will not be so good for the seed. So think of this. We're planting our thoughts, words, and actions. Okay? We're getting something ready. We're putting our seeds in that fertile soil. And we don't want to dig it up. Okay? So think about this. So we're not gonna some philosophies are you don't tell others about it because it's at that sensitive beginning stage and you want to nurture it. I would like to say from Prosper again, never condemn anything in your home. If you want new articles of furniture or new clothes to take the place of what you now have, do not talk about your present things as old or shabby. Watch your words. See yourself clothed as befits a child of the king, and see your house furnished just as pleases your ideal. Also, you are not fulfilling the law when you allow poverty-stricken thoughts to dwell in your mind. They draw other like thoughts, and your consciousness will have no room for the truth that prosperity is for you. So those thoughts are kind of like digging up the seeds, aren't they? So we want to. We've done a lot of work here. We've got that soil ready. We've got those seeds in there, and we don't want to dig them up or put anything on them that's not going to help them grow. And how do we do that? Through positive TWAs, thoughts, words, and actions. I'd like to say, how many are familiar with the Winnie the Pooh characters? Everybody know who they are? How about Eeyore? Everybody know who's Eeyore? Yeah. Oh, bother, where's my tail? Okay, so we are not wanting to be spiritual Eeyores. So no offense to Winnie and his fun friends, but we are not looking to be the Eeyore attitude here. We're working through affirmative prayer, affirmations, meditations, and visualizations. And speaking of affirmative prayer, here's my prop here, which you all should have one of your very own. Unity has a 5-step prayer process, and if those of you who are very well aware of these know that this is an abbreviated, shorter kind of version that fits on the little box here and looks really pretty. But thank you, Unity of Stockton, California, for that version. I'm going to read them real quick. Relax, concentrate, meditate, silence, which is a time to align and allow, and gratitude. Give thanks. Okay, now we're going to, I have a picture I'd like to show you let's move forward to Hestia. There we go. Isn't she pretty? Hestia. Now, this is this part where we're talking about preparing the hearth. We just talked about preparing the soil. Now we're talking about preparing the hearth. Hestia, her Roman name was Vesta, and she was the goddess of the keeper of the fire, of the hearth of Zeus. So in their time and in their hood, it was all about Zeus. He was God. He was God. To them, he was God. And this is what she was. She was the keeper of God's flame, God's hearth, keeping it on. Now, a lot of folks also think of keeping the hearth, making ready the hearth, preparing the hearth. I think of it, and you may as well, as sprucing up. Sprucing is shining. I see it. Sprucing is shining. What are we doing here? Sprucing, let's say I've ordered a new refrigerator. What am I doing? I take the old refrigerator out, I vacuum up all the woolly boogers, and I make everything shiny. So when the truck's coming, it's on its way, something like that. I'm expecting. Hesta was also the keeper of the kettle. I'm expecting. So she's the keeper of the kettle. I'm going to put the kettle on. I got the woolly boogers are gone. Everything's clean and shiny, and I'm expecting my good to come. And I'm keeping the flame alive within. This is part of our spiritual hygiene, maintenance of ourselves, all aspects of ourselves. Now we move into the 12 powers of man, a slide. Thank you so much. Stepping up to receive. We're stepping up. What do you mean by that? I'm bringing more game. Some of you may have heard it expressed that way. I'm stepping it up. I'm stepping it up to receive. I'm not going to just lay on the couch and hope the truck's going to come by. I haven't even ordered the refrigerator. What do I think is going to happen here? So here we are. We're stepping it up, okay? Now, one way to do that is to use the 12 powers of man. And if you look at the picture here, and for those of you
I don't have a slide for that.
who can't see well,
Is it in the beginning?
there you go. Keep going. There you keep going. That's the one. Thank you so much. Sorry for the confusion on that. Anyway, it is in the 12 Powers of Man book. You can see the picture here, and also you can find these online. Really easy. Just type it in, Charles Fillmore, 12 Powers of Man. And as you look at that, you see various aspects. And there's a photo of a rendering of a human body. And you see the different aspects like will and understanding, elimination, zeal. Okay? So what I'm saying is that when you're stepping up your game and you want to use the 12 powers of man, look at that. Look at those things. Take stock. Where am I having issues? Am I having issues in the elimination area? Am I having issues in the will area? Somewhere in between? So take stock. And remember, when you're taking stock, it's the body, it's the mind, it's the emotions, it's the spiritual, it's all aspects of our being. And I'd like to say, all aspects of our lives and being. See? So include that physical inventory. Remember, as above, so below. Thank you for that. The next thing I'd like to say about stepping it up is to incorporate what I'd like to call the conscious awareness. Vigilant awareness. I am where I am. I am where I am. I'm here talking to you. I'm not, on the beach in my mind in Cozumel or somewhere. I am here with you. I'm here. When I'm with a person and we're together, I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm here. I am here where I am. And there's another thing you can employ is the stepping up process. Self-witnessing. there is a fellow, I should say. His name is Ram Dass, and he wrote this book called, well, he wrote many books, but this is the one I'm talking about, The Only Dance There Is. And in it, I read it when I was quite young, and he suggested this idea of witnessing yourself. And at first, I didn't quite get it. But then he brought up the idea of watching yourself. And he said, watch yourself as you brush your teeth. Maybe even switch hands so that you're more aware of there you are, you're brushing your teeth, your head is hanging over the sink, I'm here. It's a very conscious, vigilant self-awareness. Because if I know how I am, and I know how my 12 powers are, then I know what I need to do. I know what I can do. I know how to move forward. Charles Fillmore talks about something, I like it. He wrote these things very long ago, and our language is a little different, but you can get it. It still applies. He calls it electric thought forms. Let us explain that all creative processes involve a realm of ideas and a realm of patterns or expressions of those ideas. Realm of ideas, realm of patterns, or expression of those ideas. He says, Jesus taught that we incorporate life-giving rays into our mind, body, and affairs through faith. Where physicists merely describe the mechanical presence of life as energy, Jesus taught man how by the exercise of his mind, he can make that life obey him. Instead of a universe of blind mechanical forays, Jesus showed the universe to be persuaded and directed by intelligence. And then there was Leonardo da Vinci, and he says this: learn how to see. Realize that everything connects to everything else. Was it Deepak Chopra who talked about the quantum soup? Am I right on that? The quantum soup that we're in, the God energy, this thing that we're breathing, this force that we're feeling within ourselves. The next thing we do as part of our stepping up to receive is aligning our thoughts, words, and actions with the desire. So I'm not thinking of the thing I want and then doing something opposite of it, or something contrary to it, if you're following me. So I'm aligning my thoughts, words, and actions with desire. Maya Angelou, everything in the universe has a rhythm. Everything dances. So use of the thoughts, the TW and the A, okay? Thoughts, words, and actions. Not just thoughts. It's not just TW. It's thoughts, it's TWA. Have good intentions, but don't stop there. Dream, but don't stop there. Engage. Participate in the flow of life. Those good intentions. We're aligning ourselves, vibrationally aligning ourselves. We're acting as if. We're watching and listening with expectation. Do I hear that truck coming? I think I might hear the truck coming up the road. That refrigerator is on its way. Being receptive to receiving by allowing. Remember the electric thought forms. This whole process is electric and alive with energy from beginning to end. In fact, there is no end. So it's just giving and receiving. One flow. It's one big flow. Allowing completes the circuit. It's what makes it. Okay, you can say, I want to do this, I can do that, and you pump yourself up with affirmations and so on. But if you don't allow it, the circuit is completed. I want to tell you a story. Well, it's not really a story. I had this vision of, first of all, I had to teach a class. I remember last week I said, hey, sometimes when I taught a class or had to teach, do a talk, I would live what I was what the topic was. So I had to do one on creativity. So this was a class I had to do for creativity, and so I was meditating, and I had this vision of, I really, I'm from Missouri, you got to show me, and I really wanted to get down into it. And I wanted to see how it worked. And that's what I petitioned for when I went into meditation. And, I don't think I really expected to get anything out of it, but just that this is, please just give me some clues, so I can write them on my outline, What happened is this. It was like I saw space, like the universe. And then I saw this artist at an easel. And the artist had this desire. The artist was at this blank canvas, and there was a desire. The desire to form in the space, in the universe. It had light and energy and color, and it felt of things. It felt like excitement and love, and the smells of what he or she was wanting to paint. And as the desire went up, and the form was created in the ether, and the openness of the artist allowed the energy to form, and she continued to be open until they were able to channel this onto the canvas. In my vision, it was exactly like it was in the ether. And that was the process in which the creation was made. It was beautiful. I have to say, there were tinglings, there were lights, there were colors, like it was alive. The energy was alive. It wasn't a one-dimensional thing. You see what I'm saying? None of this is one-dimensional. None of this is only in our heads. This is real, and it's alive. Alive. We can make allowing easy schmeezy. Our yeses demonstrate the law of allowing in our lives. So the energy, it's not that, no, I can't believe it, it's impossible. No, it's not that energy, it's yes. It's yes. We're allowing ourselves to be who we are, just as we are. Not 10 pounds heavier, 10 pounds lighter, not taller, not with a better tan, not with less whatever, but as we are. We're allowing ourselves to be as we are. And guess what else? We're allowing others to be what they are. I stopped eating certain kinds of meat many years ago. And did I think that my husband was going to join me on that? Not for a second. I have to say, he does love his pizza, and I love to see vegetables on it, but that's not all that's going on there. And and he's happy. He's happy. I love to see him happy, and so that is the feeling. So I'm allowing, and that energy grows, and the happiness grows. I'm also allowing the use of discernment and intuition to increase my yeses. Now I say that because, and I want to emphasize this discernment portion, because we're going to probably say a polite no to a dead fish. We don't want it. No, absolutely not useful to us in any way. Unless you want to put it in your garden or something, I don't know. But for me, I have no use for this. But I want to generally increase my yeses. You see, I'm using my discernment. So I don't walk through life just one way or the other. You see, it's a balance. But to increase my good, I'm saying yes. To increase my good, I know I'm worthy. To increase my good, I'm thankful. Say yes by way of saying thank you to gifts. Say yes to gifts. Thank you. To compliments. No, don't say this, okay? Well, this old thing, well, I got this at the thrift shop 6 years ago. See how I got such a good deal? Just say thank you. Just say thank you. Thank you. And giving compliments is the giving and receiving. we must receive them as well. I know we're all good at giving compliments, but we all also have to be good at receiving. Thank you. Thank you. Remember we talked about Charles Roth a few weeks ago. And my quote about him was about the spiritual enzyme of gratitude. So gratitude, again, I'm just here to remind you, is a manifester. And a manifester because we know we're worthy. You can be grateful all day long, but you need to be also worthy. Know that you're worthy. So, in the interest of time, which, can you believe it? We've already gone over this long. I'm not going to recap everything like I was planned, because I think you were listening. But I will say this. What is this electricity, this energy anyway? It's the stuff of God. It's the stuff of the universe. It's love. Light and love. Love is letting go of fear. And love is the stuff of the universe. God is love. And I do have one last quote. Your heart knows the way. Run in that direction. By our beloved Rumi, poet of love.